It was a cold, windy afternoon and the city buses were crowded with workers, students, and people simply trying to reach home. Among them sat a quiet man in the last row. Hood on, sunglasses hiding his eyes, hands resting calmly on his knees. No one realized that this man was Steven Seagal, the well-known martial artist and action figure. Today, though he was not a celebrity, he only wanted to blend in, ride in silence, and enjoy a rare quiet moment. The bus moved through the road, stopping every few blocks. People stepped in and out. But at the next stop, trouble entered. A group of teenage boys rushed in, loud, restless, and acting like they owned the place. Leading them was a tall, thin boy with a shaved line in his eyebrow, a leather jacket, and a confident smirk glued to his face. His name was Razor, and everyone around the area knew his behavior. He was not just a bully. He enjoyed embarrassing people for fun. The group marched down the aisle, pushing people aside. One kicked a man's backpack. Another mocked an older woman's hat. Passengers kept their heads down because boys like Razor were risky. If you looked at them the wrong way, they made you regret it. Then Razor noticed something different. A man in the back row sitting perfectly still. No reaction, no fear, no annoyance, only calm. Razor stopped. He tilted his head. "Yo, look at this dude." He spoke loud enough for the entire bus. The boys looked. Some quiet guy in a hood and glasses sitting like a statue. Razor grinned. "He thinks he is tough. Bet he is hiding a shiny bald head under that hood." The group burst out laughing. Razor stepped closer, studying Steven like prey. He did not recognize him at all. To him, this was only another quiet man he could target. Another chance to show power. He smirked and said the words that started everything. "Watch this. I am going to make this dude look dumb today." And with that, the bus ride shifted from normal to chaotic. Razor walked down the aisle like he owned it. His boots thumped with each step and passengers sank into their seats, hoping he would ignore them. The bus driver noticed the trouble through the mirror but stayed silent like the rest. No one wanted to interfere. Razor stopped 2 feet behind Steven. Steven did not move. His posture stayed still, peaceful even. The calm annoyed Razor even more. "Hey." No reaction. Razor smiled. "Oh, so he is too good to talk." His boys laughed quietly. One whispered, "Maybe he is asleep." Razor shook his head. "No, he is awake. Look at his fingers. He thinks he is a ninja. If only he knew." From his backpack, Razor pulled a small white can. Real hair removal cream, the kind that burns skin if left too long. Passengers gasped. Some tried to warn Steven with their eyes, but he stayed still like a mountain. Razor held the can up. "Imagine this dude waking up bald tomorrow." His friends roared with laughter. An older woman finally spoke. "Young man, do not do that. It is dangerous." Razor glared. "Mind your business." She looked away. He stepped closer. The bus grew silent except for the engine hum. Razor shook the can. The sound echoed. One boy whispered, "Maybe leave him alone." Razor snapped, "Shut up. I'm doing this." He leaned near Steven's ear. "Staying quiet will not help you." Still no reaction. His confidence grew. He aimed the nozzle at Steven's hood, then turned to the crowd like he wanted a show. "Y'all ready?" No one answered. Then with one hard push, a thick wave of white foam sprayed over Steven's head, covering his hood, neck, and shoulders. The boys laughed loudly. "He got him. He is going to be bald forever." Passengers gasped. Steven slowly lifted his hand. Foam dripped from his fingers. He wiped it away from his eyes and revealed a calm, cold look behind his glasses. Razor stepped back half a step, surprised by his reaction. The whole bus held its breath. Steven breathed in slowly. The moment of truth was close. The bus rolled forward, but inside everything felt frozen. Steven sat with foam dripping from his clothes. Razor stood still, the can shaking in his hand. His friends went silent one by one. Steven finally spoke, quietly, steady, like someone who did not need to raise his voice. "You done?" The words hit Razor hard. Razor forced a smirk. "Yeah, I'm done." "What you going to do about it?" Steven rose to his feet. When he stood fully, the atmosphere shifted. Steven was not huge, but his presence filled the space. Razor stepped back at once. His boys stepped even farther. Steven brushed the foam off his jacket. It dropped to the floor with a wet sound. He looked Razor in the eyes. "You picked the wrong bus." His tone stayed calm. Razor tried to act tough. "Man, you do not scare me. I run this block." Steven tilted his head. "You do not even run your own fear." Silence spread again. No one moved. The bus driver pretended to look ahead but kept checking the mirror. Steven stepped forward. One solid step. Razor raised the can again, but his grip shook. "Back up. I'm not playing." Steven stepped closer, now close enough that Razor saw his own reflection in Steven's glasses. What he saw was not fear or anger. It was indifference. Steven spoke. You know what that foam does to skin? Razor blinked. Steven continued. Burns it, breaks it down, peels it off. Razor's eyes widened. He had not thought about that. Steven grabbed his wrist gently but firmly. Razor could not move. Steven tilted the can so it pointed at Razor. The boy stepped back. You think humiliating people is funny? Steven asked quietly. Razor could not answer. You think fear gives you power? Steven continued. You mistake attention for respect. Razor trembled. Steven's words broke through his act. Steven released his wrist. Razor stayed frozen. Steven held the can in front of him. You want to feel what you put on me? Razor shook his head fast. No man, I was only messing around. Steven nodded slightly. I know, and that is the problem. He lowered the can. He did not spray him. He did not hit him. He only said one word. Sit. The word cut sharper than anything. Razor, the loudest bully in the area, slowly sat down. Passengers exhaled in relief. Steven looked at the boys. You three sit and keep quiet. They obeyed at once. Steven seated himself again and closed his eyes as if nothing had occurred. But everyone knew everything had changed. You tried to hurt me, but more importantly you showed everyone who you really are. Razor stared at the floor. Every word felt like a blow. Steven tilted his head. You are not in charge here. You never were. Razor's gang tried to sink into their seats as if they could vanish into the fabric. Then something unexpected happened. A little girl in the front, maybe 10 years old, turned and asked, Mister, are you going to beat him up? The bus went silent. Steven looked at her and shook his head gently. No, that is not real strength. The words hit Razor harder than any strike. Passengers murmured in agreement. Steven spoke again with a steady, calm tone. A real leader does not shame the weak. A real fighter does not hurt others to feel powerful. And a real man, he paused, knows when to sit down and stay quiet. Razor felt tears gather at the edges of his eyes, not from fear but from the truth in every word. The bus stopped at a red light. Everyone waited. Everyone watched. Slowly and shakily Razor stood. The entire bus tensed. He turned to Steven and whispered, I am sorry. The apology hung in the air, thin and fragile. Passengers stared at him, shocked. His gang looked at him, disappointed. Steven Seagal simply watched. The bus moved forward again, yet the tension only grew tighter. Everyone sensed the same thing. Razor was not finished. Not yet. His apology was not sincere. It came from fear. Fear of shame. Fear of consequence. Fear of the truth. He sat again, shaking slightly, yet his jaw clenched. His hands curled into fists. His eyes twitched, moving from Steven to the passengers to the phone still recording. Whispers behind him made the shame heavier. He got humbled. He is not so tough now. He apologized like a little kid. Razor's face grew hot. His gang tried to drift away from him, but Razor snapped back into anger. He stood abruptly. Do not record me. Passengers flinched. Phones lowered. He stormed toward a teenager holding a phone. Delete it now. The teen trembled. Steven did not move. He did not even look back, yet his voice sliced through Razor's rage. Sit down. Razor spun around. The silence felt louder than a shout. This has nothing to do with you, he tried to bluff. Steven finally raised his head. Sit. One word. Simple. Firm. Deadly. Razor froze in place. His breath caught. His knees weakened. Not from fear of violence but from the pressure of a man who did not need threats to be dangerous. Passengers stared wide-eyed. Steven did not glare. He did not raise his voice. His presence alone crushed Razor's defiance. But Razor's pride refused to fall quietly. He stepped forward, chest raised. You think you are better than me? You think everyone listens to you because you are some old actor? Steven's expression did not change. Razor kept talking, voice cracking under the weight of his own panic. You do not know me. I run this block. People respect me. They fear me. Steven stood. The passengers gasped. Razor stepped back. Steven did not look angry. He looked disappointed. You do not have respect, Steven said softly. You have silence. Silence forced by fear is not respect. It is weakness. Razor opened his mouth, but Steven raised one finger. Razor fell silent. The whole bus followed. You think fear makes you strong? Let me tell you something. He stepped closer with slow, steady movements. Razor's gang pressed into the windows, trying to disappear. Steven stopped inches away. Fear does not create leaders. It creates cowards who hide behind loud voices. Razor's lip trembled. Steven lowered his sunglasses slightly, showing cold, sharp eyes. And you, Razor? Passengers leaned in. You are loud. The words shattered Razor's pride. His throat closed. His eyes scanned the bus for a single supporter. He found none. Steven continued with calm precision. You shame others so you avoid facing yourself. You bully because you fear looking small. You attack strangers because you will not face your own failures. And the sad part, he paused, is that you think this is strength. Razor's legs weakened. He grabbed a rail to stay upright. Passengers nodded. Some whispered that is true. Others said he needed that. Steven stepped back, giving space, but Razor felt smaller than ever. You wanted attention, Steven said. Now you have it. Phones lifted again. Razor's breath shook. Now show them something they never saw from you. Razor blinked, confused. What? Show courage. The bus went silent. Razor swallowed. Courage, he repeated. Yes, Steven nodded. The courage to admit you were wrong. Razor's chest rose and fell. His face twisted between pride and truth. Something in Steven's steady gaze. Something in the eyes watching him. Something inside Razor finally broke through the wall he had built. He exhaled shakily. Then, loud enough for all to hear, he said, I'm sorry. For real this time. The bus filled with shocked voices. Steven nodded quietly and sat down. For the first time, Razor felt light. Not powerful. Not dominant. Light. Because real strength came from truth, not fear. Razor's apology echoed through the bus, surprising everyone, including himself. It was the first real apology he had spoken in years, maybe ever. His voice cracked. His shoulders lowered. For a moment he was not a gang leader. He was just a kid seeing himself clearly. But the moment faded fast. Passengers began whispering again, louder this time. It is him. No doubt. Look at his face. It is Steven Seagal. Razor's head snapped up. His stomach flipped. His throat tightened. No way. That cannot be real. That cannot be the man he sprayed foam on. Whispers grew. A middle-aged woman stood and squinted through her glasses. I knew it. I knew it was him. Teenagers rushed with phones raised. So can we get a picture? Steven lifted his hand calmly. Everyone sit down. Let us keep the bus safe. The tone was firm, steady, and gentle. People obeyed at once. Excitement faded into respectful quiet. Razor's heart pounded. He stared at Steven, eyes wide, breath shallow. Then the final blow came. The bus driver stopped and opened a small window. So you are Steven Seagal, right? Big fan. Razor's world collapsed. Passengers turned, confirming what he feared. Steven sighed, then nodded. Yes, that is me. The bus erupted. People gasped. Some cheered. Phones came out. Passengers began live streaming. Razor felt like falling through the floor. He thought, I sprayed hair removal foam on Steven Seagal on a full bus on camera. His stomach twisted. His throat closed. His gang leaned away, wanting no link to him. One whispered, bro, you are finished. Another said, this will hit 1 million views. Razor's hands shook. He tried to stand, but his legs buckled. He fell back into the seat, gasping. Passengers talked openly. He is done. He picked the wrong guy. What was he thinking? Razor covered his face, yet the shame kept burning. Steven finally stood. The bus fell silent again. He walked toward Razor, not with anger but with calm authority. Razor breathed in short bursts. Please do not hurt me, he whispered. Steven stopped before him. I will not hurt you, he said softly. That is not who I am. Razor peeked through his fingers, tears gathering. Steven continued. But you must understand something. Passengers leaned in. When you bully others, when you shame them, when you attack people to feel strong, it always returns to you. Razor sobbed lightly, trying to hide it. Steven crouched so their eyes met. Humility, he said, is not weakness. It is strength. Real strength. Razor sniffed and wiped his face clumsily. Steven tapped the foam can near Razor's shoe. You thought this made you a leader? It does not. Razor nodded shakily. A leader does not make others small. A leader makes himself better. Razor broke down, fully silent, tears rolling. Passengers watched, moved. Steven's expression softened. You still have time, Steven said quietly. But the boy you were 5 minutes ago must change. Razor whispered, I will. Steven nodded once, then stood and returned to his seat. The lesson had landed. Razor sat with his face in his hands, his identity rewritten in one bus ride. The bus kept rolling toward a future neither expected. By the time they reached the terminal, the story was already online. Videos uploaded. Clips shared. Live streams spread fast. Passengers left buzzing with excitement. Teens replayed the footage, amazed at Steven's calm. Older passengers nodded, saying the boy needed that lesson. He met the mountain today. This is real discipline. Razor barely moved. He sat frozen, hands shaking, mind spinning. His gang abandoned him as soon as the doors opened, running off to avoid blame. The bus driver approached gently. "Kid, you okay?" Razor nodded, though he was not okay. He could not speak. Steven walked toward the exit but paused. He looked at Razor with rare compassion. "Remember what I said. Strength is not what you do to others. It is what you do to yourself. You still have time to become better." Razor wiped his eyes, embarrassed, and whispered, "Thank you, sir." Steven nodded, then stepped off the bus, his coat moving behind him as he blended into the crowd like always a quiet warrior. The viral wave. Within an hour, the video spread across every platform. Headlines appeared. Bully humbled by Steven Seagal on city bus. Teen gang picks wrong man gets life lesson. Steven Seagal stops bullying without violence. Millions watched. Some laughed. Some cheered. Some cried. Many wrote that they had never seen such controlled strength. One comment said real power needs no fists. Another said that kid learned more in 10 minutes than in 10 years. Razor's name stayed hidden, yet everyone in his area knew. The fear people felt around him vanished. Not because Steven hid him, but because Steven revealed the truth. Razor was not powerful. He was insecure. And now everyone saw it. Razor's next day, he stayed home. He did not meet his gang. He did not walk around acting tough. He stared at his reflection longer than ever. The face that once smirked now looked lost and oddly relieved. Steven's words returned. A leader makes himself better. For the first time, Razor wanted to try. He went to the community center where kids he used to bully spent time. He apologized sincerely. He picked up a broom and cleaned the courtyard without being asked. He joined a self-discipline program run by older martial artists. Slowly he began becoming the person Steven believed he could be. Steven's message to the world. Later that week, Steven posted a short message. "I do not believe in shaming young people. I believe in guiding them. Violence cannot defeat insecurity. Wisdom can. If you see bullying, do not stay silent. Lead with strength, not fear." The post went viral. Parents shared it. Teachers used it in class. Gyms and dojos put it on their walls. Razor saved the screenshot. Maybe someday, he thought, he would thank Steven properly. If you believe bullying should never be accepted. If you believe strength comes from discipline, not fear. Type respect in the comments. And subscribe for more stories like this one.